Happy New Year, my friend, and welcome to the Juggle is Real in 2025. It's Andryanna here, and I'm so happy that you're making the decision to tune into this episode. Yes, we are talking about zero burnout in 2025. Is it possible? I'm here to help you, and I'm here to say, yes, it is. Let's do this. Let's do this together. And I mean, like we're starting a new year. It's a fresh feeling. January is all about new starts and I love it and I think it's great, but I also still have a Christmas tree up. Some of the gifts have not been put away yet. And I'm kind of in this place where I'm ready for new beginnings and I want to look to 2025 with fresh eyes, but I can't just completely let go of everything else that happened at the end of last year, right? I'm not quite over the holidays yet. I still have kids at home. And so I kind of want to start this episode by just saying, we've been in this place before. We'll get through it. But how can we look to a new year with a fresh perspective, with more ease, with more joy and better balance? And instead of trying to do it all, we focus on not burning out. Could 2025 be the year we approach life in this way? I totally think it's possible. And I want to figure it out together because, there's a big push for the resolutions and a whole new you. But what if you tried something different? And that's what this episode is all about. I'm going to talk about some of my own personal stories of experiencing burnout and going through these different things. I do have some research to share. I do have some strategies that we're going to go through. And I want to make this an episode that feels good, that makes you feel like it's totally doable because it is. It does not have to be hard. We do not have to hustle to not get burnout, all the while achieving burnout while we're trying not to. We can make it easy. So grab your tea, your notebook, maybe you're out for a walk, take some deep breaths. This is going to be good. Let's dive right in. Hey, I'm Andryanna Gonco, and this is the Juggle is Real podcast. As I share my ongoing journey from experiencing burnout to leading a more mindful and intentional life with better balance, I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started. Okay, so we're in a fresh new year. We've been through the holidays. We are, we've watched the ball drop. We're celebrating 2025. But that doesn't always mean that we have to be a whole new person. That doesn't have to mean that, we have to start the year guns a-blazing, running 100 miles an hour. I want to take you back to New Year's a few years ago and how I was feeling as we were sort of still in the lockdown mode. Things were changing, going back and forth. We had just had the holidays. My youngest, I was still breastfeeding and I was working from home. I was still teaching with a full course load. And so I had the three boys at home. We had just had Christmas. And of course, I love January for the fresh start effect because I think it's beautiful. And I love to look to new goals and what I can achieve for myself and how I can better myself. But I was also like super tired, making the magic with three kids, one still being a baby, still working. Like it was a lot and I was feeling really overwhelmed. And while I wanted to look to a new year with that set of new eyes, I also just really wanted to take a nap. And I wanted to just like let everything go for a while. And I knew because I had already experienced the burnout. I had already gone through that and I had picked myself back up and I had created new boundaries and new routines for myself to support me. But in that moment, I felt like even that was too much. So I share this with you because if you're feeling even remotely similar to how I was feeling, and even right now, like, I mean, I'm feeling good, but I'm also still, like, I'm not 100% right now after going through the holidays. I want you to know that you're not alone in feeling this way. Burnout is not just a buzzword. It is the reality for so many of us. And according to a 2023 survey done by Stats Canada, 40% of Canadians reported feeling burnt out. And for women, especially millennial moms, juggling careers, caregiving, and the mental load, that percentage, that number is even higher. We are doing more than ever, but at what cost? And so that's why I'm here and I want to share different things to support you in preventing burnout. I want to share, and you may have heard them before, but go over the 5 pillars that I use for my well being to nurture, nourish, move, grow, and discard. So, we're going to explore flexible routines, some mindset shifts, and just the practical and easy ways that you can take to make 2025 feel lighter and more joyful. How does that sound? Just to begin, I do want to touch upon just the reality of burnout or feeling that overwhelm, because burnout isn't just being tired, right? It's feeling emotionally drained, physically drained, mentally drained. It's waking up with that tightness in your chest when the day hasn't even started yet. It's the fog that you're feeling in your brain. It's that nagging, constant nagging, and feeling like you're failing at work or at home with your family or even as a person, no matter how hard you try. Again, Statistics Canada has some research, and according to their findings, balancing work and personal life is at the top for the cause of burnout for women, with almost 26% citing it as a major stressor. And I think that's even a light percentage, to be honest. The Harvard Business Review notes that women who are working from home are even juggling more because they take on more domestic responsibilities, which really is exacerbating the imbalance. So, listen, I work from home most of the time and I love it. However, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough because I can look to my right, look to my left, look straight ahead and see, oh, there's a mess. I should get dinner started. I should really, tackle that job that's ahead of me. Meanwhile, I have to refocus and I have to really rejig my perspective often to say, if I was in an office right now, could I empty the dishwasher? Do not feel bad for not doing domestic work when you are actually working in your business, at your job, as part of your career. However, it does tend to fall on women. Okay. And let's not forget about the mental load, keeping track of everyone's schedules, remembering to buy the gifts for birthdays or planning meals. All of that invisible work really adds up quickly. And, just for me, like thinking back, and just sometimes how I'm feeling on a monthly basis, depending on my cycle, depending on, what my workload is and what's on my plate. Sometimes it can actually just look like seeing the dishwasher that is full of clean dishes and thinking like, I can't. Like, it can be that constant swirl in your mind of all of the to-dos, or the comparison trap of looking to those external places, whether it's social media or what you're seeing on television, or looking to other moms around you and thinking, well, they can do it all and why can't I? Or just that feeling of guilt and that feeling like you're never measuring up. So for me, it was feeling like I had so much to do, but also feeling really paralyzed and unable to actually move forward and complete even really basic tasks. So if that sounds familiar, or if you're sort of just in a place right now where you're starting to like have shortness of breath just listening to me talk, I want to go through some ways that we can make it easier, that that can allow us to feel more ease throughout the year. So we're starting January with a fresh start, but we're going to ease into it to feel better. So something that I want to go over is really looking at balancing structure and ease and looking to flexibility. Now, I have done full podcast episodes on this topic, but I do just want to mention this as we start a new year, just as a reminder and as a refresher that flexibility really matters because routines are great. And if you've sort of been out of your routine over the holidays and meals are different and partying's happening and families happening, and maybe you're feeling like, you need to get back to the routine. I get it because routines are wonderful. They give us structure. But when we are too rigid with that structure, it can really, really contribute to our stress instead of feeling ease because of it. So the goal here is that better sense of balance. So creating some routines that provide us with enough structure to help us feel grounded, to know that there are some points throughout our days, throughout our weeks, where we can understand that there's some grounding. However, we need to, in order to not be so rigid, to not feel that overwhelm, we need to incorporate some room for flexibility. So how can we do this? Well, maybe we can start our day with an anchor habit, something that is simple, something that's easy, a non-negotiable task that you are going to incorporate, something like you're going to make your bed, or when you wake up, you're going to drink a glass of water, or when you wake up, you're going to pour yourself a cup of coffee and you're going to write down 3, 5, 10 things that you're grateful for, or that you're, happy about and can celebrate within your life. So start your day with that anchor. So you're checking off something that is good for you, that's going to support you within a structure, within a routine. But then you can leave some blank spaces for the unexpected, right? So you can block out time for those high priority tasks, or maybe there are things that you can't move around in your schedule. I know my kids' hockey schedule seems pretty rigid. However, around those things, can we leave some blank space for that flexibility? You can think of it as planning for life to happen. And this is a really big one, and I talk about it all the time, but it's important to reiterate and reaffirm repeatedly that we're not aiming for perfection here. Okay. So oftentimes just doing it, just being done is better than it being perfect, because that perfection mode is impossible. You're never going to get there. You're only going to fall short, and then it's going to make you feel like crap. So when we're looking for the flexibility within the structure, can we release and can we let go to be done versus being in that analysis paralysis, afraid to make a decision or afraid to move forward because we want everything to be perfect. So here's a quick thing that you can do as we're looking to this fresh new year in 2025 and January as a fresh start. Why don't you take a look at your schedule? Maybe just look out week in advance or look to your month, and then see what is 1 or 2 things that you can move, something that you can delegate, or something that you can remove, skip entirely, and then give yourself permission to let it go. For me, I love to watch my kids play hockey. My husband coaches my son's teams. And so I don't go to practices. I love watching them play their games, but they don't need both parents, in my opinion, to watch them practice. My youngest is different. He doesn't get to play games, so I aim to watch him once a week, but I've let that go from my schedule. So what can you do that perhaps is going to support you in adding a little bit more flexibility? So maybe there are those last minute things that pop up, but you have that blank space and you can balance the structure with some ease. Okay. Moving on, I do want to look to my 5 pillars of well-being and just review this once again as you're looking at this new year with a set of fresh eyes and perspective. How can you add that support in your life? How can you care for yourself in small and simple ways that's not going to take you away from the busyness of your life, but's going to add in that support, add in that ease, add in that cushioning that's going to hold you and make you feel like things are more manageable. So I would love for you to just, even as we go through these five pillars, jot down some notes. You could put it in your phone, or just think about the very, very smallest of commitments that you can make to yourself this month to start the year with the ease and a little bit of structure with some flexibility to support you. Now, you can always look to the Juggle is Real Authentic Self-Care Planner. This guides you through it step by step. It offers monthly prompts as well as daily prompts to help you stay accountable to yourself through this process, to make sure that you are coming back and reaffirming why you're so worthy of the care that you give yourself. You can find the Juggle is Real Authentic Self-Care Planner on Amazon. There's also a note there's also a link in the notes for this podcast episode. So definitely you can pick that up. It's going to support you, and it's helped hundreds and hundreds of women already to feel that ease. And it is based on these five pillars. So I want you to look to pillar number one, which is nurture, as really supporting yourself purely for the sake of that love that you're giving yourself, right? So it's maybe 10 minutes of like, not a big gesture. It's the quality, not the quantity, but creating a moment for yourself to let you know that you care about yourself. So you're going to know what this is. It can be those traditional self-care things. It can be pouring yourself a bath at the end of the day. It can be, starting your day in, with that habit that's really going to make you feel cared for and supported. But what is something small that you can do that really mirrors that love that you give to everyone else and brings it back to you? So how can you nurture yourself this year? Let's start small. Let's give ourselves some grace, and let's create new patterns and new behaviors and new habits that are going to feel good for 2025. The second pillar is to nourish. And I know with a new year, a lot of us are thinking about diets, or maybe you're going on the scale after the holidays and the number is not the same as what it was before, or maybe you have some goals for how you want to look and feel in 2025. When I look to the pillar of nourish, I'm really looking to fuel my body with love and not obligation, right? It is to reframe that old and sometimes really difficult pattern of diet culture and making you feel like crap, making you feel like you're not enough, and switching it to, what can I do to make myself feel good in this body today? So it can be simplifying some of your routines when it comes to cooking. It can be looking to incorporating more water into your day. It can be looking to explore the rainbow of fruits and vegetables within your diet, or just adding something that you know is going to be nourishing, taking that multivitamin and committing to yourself in a small and simple way. Taking to Pinterest and looking at, those sheet pan dinners where you're tossing veggies and like a chicken or a protein with some avocado oil, some herbs, some spices, popping it in the oven, and you're done. So what's a small commitment that you can make to yourself to nourish your body and to fuel your body in ways that feel easy and loving and simple? And I'll let you think about that. As we move on to the third pillar, this one goes hand in hand, especially again, what we were talking about with the new year and New Year's resolutions. The third pillar is to move. And for me, movement doesn't necessarily have to be a workout. It's reframing the no pain, no gain mentality and looking at it in the way of moving your body to feel good, to be grateful for the capabilities that you have, for the movement abilities that you have here and now, exactly as you are, and loving yourself how you are and feeling good as you move. So like, it can be a walk around the block. Sometimes that makes me feel so much better. I could be in the grouchiest mood and I go around the block and I just have a whole new lease on life. It can be a 5-minute dance party in your kitchen, stretching while you watch TV instead of just being on the couch for the first 10 minutes. Movement is about energy, not necessarily how you look. You don't have to be in a gym. You don't have to, hire that personal trainer. And these are all things that you totally can do if that's what's going to make you feel good, if that's how you're going to stay accountable to yourself. But I would just love for you to reframe it in 2025 and the commitments that you set to yourself to move your body, coming from a place of love, coming from a place of wanting to feel good and supporting yourself. Because even if you are, a martial artist or, you love to go hard at CrossFit, framing it from the perspective of I'm doing this because I love myself versus I'm not good enough and therefore I have to lose weight or do this or do that is going to be life-changing. I promise you. And so let's work on that. How can you commit to yourself with a small goal to move your body every day that's going to be easy and doable and manageable for you? The last two pillars I really, really love. The fourth one is to grow, and the fifth is to discard. So when we look to growth, that's really about, that personal growth. And it doesn't have to be a huge overhaul. Like we said, we might have these really big, beautiful, audacious goals, but we might feel really overwhelmed just thinking about it. So to start this year, how can we, in very simple and easy ways, add to that growth mindset, add to that personal growth without making it feel overwhelming? So can you get yourself a book? Can you download some podcast episodes? Can you get yourself a journal to jot down your thoughts? Growth really happens in the little moments with the consistency. So you don't have to make some crazy overhaul and complete changes in your life in order to grow, in order to feel like you're becoming the best version of yourself. What I've learned over many years and thousands of dollars of personal coaching and group coaching and personal development is that it's really what you're doing when no one else can see you. It's how you are caring for yourself in those simple ways. Whether it's listening to an audiobook while you're taking that walk around the block, whether it is waking up 10 minutes earlier to read that book or to jot down your thoughts. This is how we grow. And before you know it, these small little shifts completely change how you feel, completely change how you're leading your life. And I can say, like, something as easy as turning off the notifications on your phone so you don't feel tempted to reply to every text message or every group chat message can really support you in releasing that overwhelm and in making those positive changes of growth. So what's something that you can do now that we're in January that's going to add to making you feel like you are tapping into a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset? It can be even as simple as adding some creativity in your life through artwork, through painting, through sculpture, through baking. Maybe you've always wanted to try sourdough. Maybe that's something you can commit to is growing through learning this year. And then the last pillar is discard. This might be something that can feel challenging, but it is the best pillar, my friend. I love this one the most. It is so freeing to let go. So what can you let go of this year, even just for January? Let's start slow. Let's start small. Something that no longer serves you. It's just even an idea, something like that you have to be the perfect mom, that doesn't exist. But like, what is something that you can release either from your schedule, from your life, something that you are no longer going to give your energy and attention to, or that you can reframe? So just writing down something that you're going to let go of is going to remind you that when it creeps up, when it happens, that it's no longer welcome, or even that you're just setting it down and releasing it for the next 30 days. So what can you let go of? What can you discard for the month of January? And those are the 5 pillars of well-being. So you can get this in the Juggle is Real Authentic Self-Care Planner. But I hope you've kind of, as we've chatted, thought about some small and simple things that you can do that's going to support you in January as we start the year and move into 2025. One last thing that I want to talk about is choosing the peace over the perfection, right? Choosing a better thought, a better feeling, and that's going to help you in getting over that overwhelm. So I believe I shared it in December. Um, we had some family photos done for the holidays, and about halfway through, I realized I was wearing two different shoes. And I had gotten everyone ready. We had the matching outfits. Everyone looked so great. And in the midst of changing from my flats while we walked up this outdoor cliff to my heel booties, I forgot to change both. And so I posted it. It was a viral reel. And really, it resonated with so many of you because it was real. It wasn't perfect. It was just magic in its own way. And that's what I want for all of us is, you know what? Like we often look to new starts, a new year. It's great to have that fresh start effect, but we also have to realize that life is not perfect. There is going to be mess. There's going to be chaos. If you have a young family, there's so much that we can't control. And looking externally, like, I mean, we can't control what's going on around us, right? We can only control how we are responding to what's happening. And so when we're in that perfectionistic mode, when we're in that feeling of overwhelm, we can really react from a place of it's not good enough versus really leaning into there is magic here. Like there's magic in the mess. And even though the shoes weren't matching, everyone looked super cute. We got some beautiful photos. I have now these great memories captured of my beautiful boys at that exact stage and age. And so while we are starting a new year, it's not necessary to put it on a pedestal. We can make small shifts. We can make changes that feel good and feel doable without it having to be perfect. Okay. So the phrase, I can choose peace instead of this, when the inevitable disasters occur, when there's a meltdown or a tantrum or a deadline that's missed or something that happens that is not supporting us, we can take a breath and instead of reacting in a way from a place of feeling like failure is going to occur, can we re-examine, refresh, and respond from a way of I can choose peace, right? I believe it was Marianne Williamson who coined that phrase, I can choose peace instead of this. So what's one thought? What's one simple thing that you can do, like taking a deep breath or remembering something significant in your life, or just like having your kids' smiles come to mind? What is one thing that you can do to choose peace in those moments of chaos? So a couple things. Looking to the discard again. Maybe we can mute social media accounts that are making us feel less than. Maybe we can say no to things that are popping up in our life, in our schedule, and do it guilt-free. Maybe we can celebrate our progress. Okay. Did we keep everyone alive? Did we feed everyone today? Did everyone get clean clothes? 3 wins in my books. So celebrating those small wins really does add up and provides us with that sense of peace, that sense of progress, that sense of really knowing that it's okay. We're going to get through it. And no matter what life throws at us, we can choose peace, plain and simple. And so as we conclude this first episode of 2025, how are you feeling? Is zero burnout feeling a little more doable for 2025? Do you feel like it's going to be more manageable to care for yourself in small and simple ways? Do you think that we can release what's not serving us to make room for what matters most? A few things that we can look to is having the flexible routines within our structure to bring more ease and better balance. We can look to those 5 pillars to nurture, to nourish, move, grow, and discard, using those as our guideposts, using that sort of as our light for 2025, and just remembering that and having those commitments in the back of our heads, and remembering that perfection is overrated and we can choose peace instead. I'd love to hear from you. Is there something that you're letting go of as we step into 2025? Is there something that you feel that's going to be really doable and manageable for you as we get into this new year? How are you committing to yourself? I would love for you to send me a message, slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is Andryanna G. That's ANDRYANNAG. You can also send me an email. The email address is in the notes for this podcast episode. I would love to keep this conversation going because it truly is going to be a theme for 2025 to feel that better balance. Burnout is not inevitable. 2025 does not have to feel like a repeat of chaos. Let's make those small, intentional changes together to create a year filled with more ease, more joy, and better balance. You definitely have this, and I am here to support you. I would love it if you could share this with a friend, someone who is, looking to create a year with zero burnout as well, someone who could really benefit from hearing this episode. And if you liked it, could you write me a short and sweet review in Apple Podcasts? That is the #1 way to support the Juggle is Real podcast and to allow others to hear this important information as well. And make sure you're subscribed. Come on back. So many great episodes. We've got some great interviews that have already been recorded that I cannot wait to share with you. So until the next episode, take good care.